No, red lights and sirens mean pull to the right. In an emergency, seconds count. So when you drive, pay attention, or else.
Save it, buddy. The ball call.
Welcome back to Aging Well in L.A. And now you get to meet the person we've been talking about. Meet Florence Horn. Florence, welcome to our show. It's so good of you to come and join us.
Thank you.
Tell me what you thought when this crazy guy handed you a camera. Did you think, oh, I can do this? Or were you hesitant?
No, I didn't think I could do it. As a matter of fact, my first introduction to the project, I was very skeptical. I greeted it with very mild interest. But I knew there was something about it that set it apart from any other kind of activity I could possibly participate in. In some ways, I knew that it was going to touch something very creative. The project was in a developmental stage.
Yes.
And so it required a little soul searching for what the project could be like. And in my attempt to figure out whether I had a place in the project, it made me think a great deal about my personal process of aging, and it gave me a creative spark to examine in a new medium, something that I was not familiar with. I had many thoughts about my aging process, but this was the first time that something allowed me to express myself in a new way on a very large issue.
Well, once you focused on the idea of putting the cane in each photo, it really kind of anchored you, I think.
Well, I was post-surgical, and I was trying to find my way back. And in using the cane, the cane became a symbol for my instability, my feelings of unsteadiness, my need to find a new balance in my life, so that where I was emotionally, I was also physically in the same place.
It's funny how those things mirror each other.
and they affect each other, and they are sometimes the reason for a great new challenge. I did find it very challenging to even figure out what it is I might do. And
you mean like a lesson you wanted to share, or a perspective?
the issues were so large that I couldn't get a handle on what my personal vision was.
Yes, I understand. That's good.
And in searching for that, I needed to experiment. And the camera I was completely unfamiliar with camera work. But when Brian said just point and shoot, that I found to be a very expansive idea, a fabulous way to experiment, just point and shoot.
Yep, then you could store lots of photos in that camera.
And that was a new experience for me, storing lots of photos.
Great. Brian, this is not unique with the people who have come into the program, is it? That it's a door opener.
For everyone, it was a unique experience, and they all experienced it in their own way.
Yes.
But yes, I found that many of the people found that the camera was a window into the world, and that they could move through that window into the world. It empowered them. Florence has talked about how it had her engaging with people that she wasn't engaged with before, because of that opportunity.
There's a tape recorder involved here, too, so you want to capture other people's words, obviously. Was that a challenge to you at first?
Well, I realized that I'm not the center of the of the presentation, of the center of the issue. I'm part of it. I found that there were many people who were curious, who were also not in a position to be active participants, but I felt that their voice had to be recorded. The fact that they were being interviewed, being recorded, gave them a sense of purpose. They felt they were part of a purposeful project.
Well, there is a historical value in all of this. So many of our young people today don't accord older people the respect they deserve just for making it to 90. And when you were 91 when you started this?
Well, I found that to be the most the reason I needed to do the project. I found that I wanted to express the right we have as aging individuals, the right and the force to be engaged and respected in society.
Well, I'm with you on that. Brian, over my shoulder is what you consider the kind of the signature piece of Age Looks at Aging.
Yes.
Can you walk us through not only this picture, but some of your favorites that have occurred over time?
This one was taken by Bernie and Lillian Sachs. Bernie was a medical doctor who lived in independent living in this community. He took this photo and I immediately loved it. But I particularly loved it for a couple of things. Number one, those are the hands of people who've been married for 69 years.
Wow.
And they're an inspiration. There's actually a funny story that goes with this, because when I arrived here, there was a story going around that one of them had to be feeble because they were always holding hands. And so whoever was the feeble one was being supported by the other one. And I actually asked them about this rumor, and I said, why do you hold hands? And Bernie looked at me and he said, we've been holding hands for 69 years. Why should we stop now?
What a lovely story. Now tell us about some of the others that you have, over time, picked out as favorites.
Sure. Well, Florence has taken a couple of other photos that are very important to the project. One is of a woman holding a magnifying glass.
Yes, I know that one.
And I actually look at that as almost a literal interpretation of age looking at aging. Through her glasses and through the magnifying glass. It's beautiful. And Florence took another one that I think could be hanging in any great art gallery, and it's a photo of a path through the trees. And it's dark and it's somber and it's very expressive. There is a photo of two dancers taken by Fania Spielberg. It's joyful, it's delightful. We had a participant named Lillian Berlin. She was our oldest. She was 95 years old.
Wow.
And I knew when I started the project that some people's hands would shake. Lillian was on a walker and had Parkinson's disease, and she would not participate. She insisted on participating and expressing her life. And her photos do shake. What I didn't know when I started the project is how beautiful those photos would be at expressing her life. So there's, for instance, a photo of a piano player that is deeply moving to me. Wow. And I would like to say just a little bit more about the photo over your shoulder, because also included is a photo they took of a hand-tinted photo when they got married at the age of 20 at Cornell University. And when you compare this photo to these two beautiful young people, it's even more moving.
Wow. And you had another picture that you wanted to reference.
Yes, it's another one taken by Dr. Sachs, and it's a photograph of two sets of hearing aids in a little dish that says, I love you.
Yeah, I grew up in a household. Grandpa Burr had the hearing aid, the old kind, where you wore the packet on your chest, and he could tune us all out anytime he wanted to. Florence, I want to thank you so much for joining us. You are a wonderful advertisement for what I think is a great program. Brian, thank you. Thank you for
Thanks
sharing
so
all
much
this.
for this
Give me the
opportunity.
website again.
www.agelooksataging.org.
agelooksataging.org. Well, we're going to take a little break to segue into Caregiver Corner. And you're going to want to listen to this one. It's pretty interesting.
Today we're talking about caregiver stress. If you find yourself as the primary person taking responsibility for another person's activities of daily living, for example, preparing meals, helping the person get dressed and groomed, helping them with bathing and toileting needs, or helping them move from one place to another, then you are a family caregiver. There are many lovely things about being a caregiver. However, oftentimes, being a family caregiver can slowly inch up to the levels of high stress. Regardless of whether you're a family caregiver taking on these tasks from a sense of responsibility, or you're doing it from a loving place in your heart, or a combination of both, caregiver stress is a reality that cannot and should not be ignored. Signs of caregiver stress include denial about the reality of the situation, anger that treatments are not working the way you'd like to see them work, social withdrawal in that you're not going out to see friends or be with family or other activities that were once fun, anxiety levels about facing another day and what the future holds, depression, which can start to break your spirit and affect your ability to cope, or irritability, which then makes you react in different and negative ways. And health problems begin to take their toll, both physically and mentally. Signs of caregiver stress include denial about the reality of the situation, anger that perhaps the treatments aren't working the way you thought they would, social withdrawal from family, friends, and avoiding things that used to be fun, anxiety levels about facing another day and what the future holds. Depression can begin to break your spirit and affects your ability to cope. Irritability leads to moodiness and triggers negative responses and reactions. Health problems begin to take their toll, both mentally and physically, on family caregivers. Being aware of and acknowledging these signs of stress are important, so that is why we are reminding you that caring for the caregiver is also important. If the family caregiver fails, then what? Who's going to step in with caregiving? So let's talk about how to relieve some of the stresses in family caregiving. Create a family network of support, including friends. Learn about the medical condition of the person you are caring for. Seek available patient and family services through community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, senior centers, disease-specific organizations like the Alzheimer's Association, Heart Association, American Diabetes, etc. Call the City of Los Angeles Department of Aging for information and referrals. And there are many more resources out there that you can learn about. Being informed is a great way to minimize stress. Other ways of reducing caregiver stress include asking for clarification when you don't understand something. Find a local support group to learn more about options and resources. Fellow caregivers are a great source of support, information, and resources. Remember to give yourself credit for what you're doing. It's okay to periodically make a mistake. You learn from it. When you feel your stress levels rising, remember to step away from the situation for a few minutes. Take deep breaths to bring fresh oxygen into your bloodstream and to your brain, and then go back and take care of the matter at hand. Remember, caring for the caregiver is important too.
The project handed me a camera that allowed me to look at many things that were close to me in my environment, but that I had not carefully looked at. And in using that medium, I allowed a lot more influences to come into my life. I had the open door because I carried a camera and carried a recorder, and it made it easier for me to interact with other people than if I were to pursue them without the supervision of the project.
sometimes things don't always go as planned. Except when you vote. You can be assured when you vote on Election Day using InkaVote Plus, you won't accidentally vote a blank ballot, and the reader will check your ballot for overvotes. You can count on your ballot being accurate. It's nice to know some things do go as planned.
Hi, I'm Zadie. Welcome to the Pacific Palisades, and you're watching Channel 35. It's our city and our channel.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Mr. Krikorian has arrived. Mr. Parks has arrived. Mr. Krikorian, thank you. Mr. Parks, thank you. We're at 9 members. We need 10 to begin our meeting. Again, Mr. Cardenas, please come to chambers. We do have Mr. Krikorian here, Ms. Clerk, Madam Clerk. We're now at 10 members. We now have a quorum. This will be City Council meeting for Tuesday, May 10th. We meet Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at City Hall. We have remote facilities if you wish to be heard at Van Nuys and San Pedro. You can also view us on Channel 35 or on the internet at lacity.org. We are now in session. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Hahn, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weston, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Very well. First item of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Parks, second by Mr. Smith.
Commendatory resolutions.
Ms. Hahn, second by Mr. Garcetti.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday. Now would be the time for the flag salute.
Flag salute. Mr. Labange. Mr. Labange, please loosen the flag salute. Please stand in the chambers. Flag salute to our country. Mr. Labange.
Face the flag as we pledge our allegiance to the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done, John.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm okay, man. I'm here. You know, it's good.
All right. First item, please.
Item number 1 is the Los Angeles Tourism Marketing District Business Improvement District. Notice for public hearing. There's a card on that item.
Item number 1. No one wishes to speak on number 1? Open the roll. Close the roll.
Mr. President,
Yep.
there's a card on that item.
Pardon me?
There are cards on that item.
There are cards. I haven't seen the card yet. Thank you, Sergeant. All right, so let's hold that. Let's hold item number 1. Next, please.
Item number 2 is a public convenience or necessity item in Council District 3. The recommendation is to deny the appeal. Deny the application, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti, for the coat. To deny the appeal and to, in that particular matter, hold that as a special, please. We're holding 1 and 2. Go ahead. Next item, please.
Items 3 and 4 are public convenience or necessity items in Council Districts 12 and 4, respectively. The recommendations are to grant the applications.
Necessity in 12.
3 and 4.
It requires a motion.
Any cards?
Mr. Smith moves on 3.
Mr. Smith moves on 3.
Mr. Labange.
Mr. Labange on 4. Public convenience on number 4, Mr. Labange.
Take the recommendation of approval consent.
All right. So on 3 and 4, Mr. Smith, thank you. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next items, please.
Items 5 through 9 are items for which public hearings have been held.
5 through 9. Any special colleagues? Public hearings have been held. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next items, please.
Items 10 through 20 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Item 10 is a commission appointment. Do you wish to hold that item on the desk?
Yes, the commissioner is patiently waiting. We'll hold that. And the other items, Mr. Parks?
Yes, Mr. Chair, could I hold 12 on the table just for a minute? I want to get some clarification from the CLA and like to continue number 19 until tomorrow.
Okay, 12 we'll call special, 19 continued to tomorrow. See no objection. We'll hold 12 and 19 will continue tomorrow. Any cards, Madam Clerk?
Cards on item 10 and 18.
We'll hold those considered, we'll hold those as special. Next items, please.
13 special.
Call the roll.
13 special.
Mr. President, do you wish to call the roll on items 10 through 20?
13 special.
13 special
Mr. Garcetti.
for Mr. Garcetti. On the remaining items, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next items, please.
On the
Ms. Hahn, we'll get to you in a minute.
We're going to go through the whole thing.
Go ahead. We'll get back to Ms. Hahn. Okay, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
On the supplemental agenda, item 21 is an item notice for public hearing.
21. Any, Mr. Rosendahl? Special number 21, Mr. Rosendahl. Next item, please.
Item 22 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
The public hearing, no cards. Close the public hearing. Number 22. Open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Next item, please.
11 ayes? Let's hold that up. That's the way 12.
We have Ms. Perry's here. We have 11. We have 12. According to the roster, we have 12.
Let's revote.
Yeah.
We have 12 members, so that ordinance was approved.
Let's do another roll.
Mr. Dion, City Attorney, we have 12.
We don't have to reconsider. She was here. She's been here the whole time. So let's revote.
Okay, we'll re-vote on that just for clarification on number 22. 22, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Very well. And Ms. Hahn, you want number 6 to reconsider?
Please.
On number 6, open the roll to reconsider, please. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Items reconsidered number 6.
Call special.
Call that special number 6. That completes that 22 forthwith. Madam Clerk, at the request City Attorney, 22 forthwith, please. And our Commissioner number 10, if you'll please come forward. Commissioner nominee. And we're going to turn the meeting over to our Council President, the Honorable Eric Garcetti.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zine. There's been a request to send 22 forthwith. If no objection, we'll send that forthwith as well. On item number 1, we'd like to thank, on item number 10, the commission appointment, I'd like to thank Mr. Miller for offering his service to the people of Los Angeles. Mr. Koretz, as the chair of Personnel Committee, we'll turn it over to you for opening comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we're considering the mayor's appointment of Professor Anthony Miller to the Employee Relations Board for the term ending September 2015. This board has 5 part-time members, all of whom have to have expertise in the field of labor management relations. Mr. Miller was nominated by the Labor Committee on Employee Relations and Management, and I had a chance to meet with him earlier this month. He impressed me as highly qualified, very competent, and a neutral arbitrator and mediator. He teaches labor law and public sector law at Pepperdine University School of Law, and he has a lengthy career in arbitration. I think we would be lucky to have him on this board, and I urge your approval.
Thank you very much. Other members wishing to be heard, or Mr. Miller, would you like to say anything to the council?
Well,
and why don't you pull the microphone a little close so we can hear you? Thank you.
I'm very grateful to be here and to be considered for this position. I look forward to doing the job. I know that there are important issues before the board, and I will do my best to approach them in a neutral manner, as I've always served as an arbitrator.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other members wish to be heard on the nomination? If not, thank you, Mr. Koretz. Let's go ahead and prepare the roll on item 10 and tabulate the...
12 ayes.
I'm sorry. This was waived out of committee. Mr. Walsh, why don't you come forward? My apologies. We'll reconsider it on 10. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And we'll have the public hearing. Good morning, Mr.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. We certainly support Mr. Anthony Miller's appointment to the Employee Relations Board, and we invite you to come to our website where you will see the letter attempting by a law firm for demanding that we remove our website from the web by May 15th. I'll tell you all about it in the public comment.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing on the nomination. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
You are reconfirmed, sir. Congratulations. Thank you again. we have questions answered on 12. If we can please... so Mr. Parks just had questions, and they've been answered on item 12. Are we ready to vote on 12? Okay, we'll continue to hold that. I was told that there's questions that had been already answered on that. Let's go ahead then, and we'll turn to our general public comment. And our first speaker is David Romero. Mr. Romero will be followed by Mr. Walsh, and then Donna Pearman and Van Nuys. Very good morning, Mr. Romero.
Good morning. My name is David Romero. I am the apprenticeship coordinator for floor cover installers. We are located in Santa Fe Springs, and we teach apprentices the floor covering trade. I'm here to support the Farmers Field, the downtown stadium proposal. One of the reasons is it will create tens of thousands of jobs for the middle class and in the construction industry, especially in the finishing construction industry, which I represent. It'll also help train the next generation of floor covering installers, which in turn will be our next generation of middle class tax-paying citizens. Thank you. I do need the council to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. John Walsh is our next speaker. After that is Donna Pearman and Van Nuys. And she'll be followed by Andy Schrader back here in council chambers.
John Walsh, visit our website, Hollywood Highlands, right now. You'll see a letter on there from one of the major law firms in L.A. We are being threatened with a lawsuit if we do not take down our website. Who do you think is behind this? Who do you think paid, we hear, $25,000 retainer to this lawsuit to take us off the internet? Yes, the Democratic Party. Look at if I'm lying, go to the website now. From Obama down, the Democratic Party is trying to destroy HollywoodHighlands.org. We have only one greater enemy than the Democratic Party. That's the Republican Party. But they're not suing us. This is unprecedented in the history of America. Why are they giving us May 15th to get on our knees in front of you, the Democratic Party, up here and take our website down, the most courageous website in America, the website that Obama doesn't want you to see? Why? Because they claim we have stolen their trademark. It's on the website now. Look at the letter. Because in our web posts, we use the word Democratic Party. I know it's insane, but you are going to, what they want to do is bury me in a lawsuit, take my home, my apartment away from me, take my life savings away from me, and it's Eric Garcetti. And why are they so upset? Because when I pointed my finger at John Perez here, it was on the front page of the LA Times. You are trying to destroy me. And you will not destroy me, and you will not destroy the website. It will continue, and we will do the website in the gutter if I have to live in the gutter. And you are behind it, Eric Garcetti. Or should I call you Oscar Garcetti?
Mr. President, his website is not within the jurisdiction of the city of Los Angeles.
We'll go to Van Nuys, and Donna Pearman is our next speaker. Thank you. For the record, I have no idea what the speaker is talking about. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Okay, great. Maren Fogler is home. She's sick about the city problems and the 4 unions that are not being signed, especially sanitation mechanics. It was good to see you in Van Nuys in May, the city council. And Garcetti, you left so early I didn't have a chance to say hello then. Anyway, I want to say that the health care cost is going up sky high. It is reasonable that the city council is asking for the city employees to pay 4%. Many private who make the same salary are also paying for health care. I'm not for the ordinance. Ordinance is not right. That should be discussed more with us, you and members, I think. I meant to say I'm for the health care 4%. With the date looming, I again ask for the 4 unions to pay. You won't have the city council bothering for 3 more years. Isn't that great? City councils also will be paying the same 4%. I heard it from Councilman Parks. Many more pay more for health care. It's in your best interest. Health care is necessary. I still wish the DWP would get on board, but I feel that day will come. It will be necessary for the DWP to also pay. I am mad at Howard Jarvis, I forget what they call themselves, that backed up Prop 22. Our city is in debt because of the money allotted to the CRA. The public that voted for it, and the public that voted for it too, is also responsible. How can you have voted for it? For our city employees is asked to pay the bill. But this is necessary. The health care, it goes to the health care. It goes to this paid, goes to the city payroll. It does not go to the general fund, or I should say the CRA, or the City Council Pet Projects. Many things asked for the public, including its employees. The sales tax, the property tax, goes directly to at least the CRA. Anyway, please vote yes on this for unions. It's for your best interest.
Thank you very much. Andy Schrader is our next speaker. After that is Walter Bechtel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the LA City Council. I'm Andy Schrader from the Mar Vista, former councilman from the Mar Vista Community Council. In 2008, this body said it would ban plastic bags by July 2010 if there was no statewide solution. It is now May 2011, and there is no statewide ban. Santa Monica, San Francisco, Malibu, Calabasas, Palo Alto, San Jose County, LA County, and many others have banned plastic bags. I have here letters of support from 8 neighborhood councils representing 350,000 people in Los Angeles: Mar Vista, Delray, Greater Griffith Park, South Robertson, Delray, Palms, Venice, Brentwood, plus over 300 signatures from constituents asking for a plastic bag ban. I ask you to keep your promise from July 2008. Save the city millions of dollars in waste and stormwater cleanup, and protect our waterways and oceans. Thank you.
Thank you. Walter Bechtel is next, then we'll go back to Van Nuys, and Henry Marine will speak after that. Good morning.
Thank you. Yeah, I do believe Sun Chips did come up with a plastic bag that is biodegradable, that doesn't crinkle. So I don't know about the ban on that. But I wanted to talk about something else, about copyright. I don't have the case number or the case name because it just came on the radio this morning. It was decided somebody had sued claiming that intellectual property that isn't copyrighted, it falls under copyright law. No, it does not. So it is not a civil case. It is a criminal case. If somebody is eavesdropping or theft by deception or grand larceny, whatever those things are called, will you please instruct your prosecutor that it is not a copyright law. It is not for somebody like Mr. Bechtel to sue somebody in that circumstance, though I think possibly, maybe, they didn't feel that's the way it is. It has already been decided that is not the way to proceed. So that's all I think I have to say today. Because I have a case involving the theft of my own intellectual property, and I would appreciate, I've been asking you for a number of years now, to please see that prosecuted by way of the prosecutor. Since it's not a civil case, I'm going to need the prosecutor to assist in the situation. Otherwise, I will continue with my boycott, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry Marine is next. He's in Van Nuys, and then we'll come back for Richard Robinson back here in Council Chambers. Good morning, Mr. Marine.
Good morning. As we've been discussing here for the last year about MOU 35 and the pay and the benefit situation, that the consul and the mayor authorized the CAO and the union to negotiate, and that the CAO would take care of any grievances in regard to pay and benefits, and that's the way it's been so far. But in March, I was told that the appeals court said it is the council and the mayor cannot delegate the duty to make discretionary powers to third parties to decide the pay and benefits of city employees. So now, I also heard that the city refused to discuss these matters with the unions with an arbitrator. But what I'm finding out is that only the mayor and the CEO can, no, the mayor and the council can adjust these grievances and take care of any misunderstandings between union and city representatives in regard to pay and benefits that are being not accounted for. So, I don't know, we still got the option to, you can negotiate me at any time in regard to pay and benefits, because that's a vested duty of the mayor and the council. We don't need an arbitrator, we don't need to go to judge. If you go to a judge, it just means you didn't do your job in the first place. So, think about it. You got my number.
Mr. Robinson will be followed by Armanak Norjanian.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, members, Richard Robinson. I am a Republican. I belong to the GOP, the Grand Old Party, the party of Abraham Lincoln, the party of black congressmen and governors shortly after the Civil War. Sir, I have jury duty again next month, and I want to say here and now that anyone who shirks the responsibility, anyone who does not take the responsibility seriously, does not deserve the honor and privilege of being a citizen of the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Armanak Norjanian is our last speaker for our general public comment today.
Respectable City Council members, dear fellow Angelians, my name is Armanak Norjanian, and I'm a Liberal Democrat and human rights advocate. I proudly announce my candidacy to run for the electoral campaign to win the seat of California State Assembly next year. I build my electoral campaign on principles of legal and social justice, racial integration, and technological revolution. I need all California and Los Angeles patriots' help and support in order to raise funds, help me wage campaign against wasteful spending and corruption. Actually, as a Liberal Democrat, I propose raising taxes against wealthy homeowners and wealthy individuals, as general, 50%, and also raise taxes 50% against those gasoline selling corporations. And recent proposition O, which failed by a very thin margin, failed only by proponents of it of raising taxes against all producers counted about 48%. I still believe that I urge city council members to raise taxes against gasoline selling corporations. You didn't raise taxes against gasoline selling corporations, and retail prices of gasoline jumped up about maybe 10-15%. And so they jump up food prices and related retail commodities prices. Actually, I demand was closing down so-called medical marijuana dispensaries with Rip Off California's big time, up to charging up to $200 per 1 ounce of illegal dope. I believe, and also want to know, I believe that council member should actually.
Thank you. We'll next go to our comments on item number 1. John Walsh is our first speaker, then Kathy Falk.
John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org, the website that is about to be banned from the internet after a long lawsuit. Number one, yes, tourism. You've destroyed tourism. There's no more When the people come up here from Alvera, did you hear what that woman who owned a business said? She's getting calls from all over the United States. Is it closed? I'm telling you that Brian Stowe's stomping, done, I believe, by the 18th Street Gang, although none of you have the guts to mention the 18th Street Gang. And I'm telling you, Brian Stowe's stomping has destroyed tourism in this city. Ladies and gentlemen, don't come to this city. It's dangerous. It's out of control. And if you're a white man and you are beaten to death, these people up here will say nothing. And who's going to pay for Stowe's hospital bills? 1 minute.
Our next speaker is Kathy Falk. After that will be Bob Amano. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
I'm Kathy Falk. I'm the general manager of the Omni Hotel here in LA. And we're going to be respectful of your time, and all of us have filled out cards, but what we have here today is a general manager from each representative area of Los Angeles, and we have a unified statement to make, really. Notwithstanding the last speaker, I think we have 24 million plus visitors a year that come to LA. Here's our story. The Tourism Marketing District is being developed as a very organic approach to resolving a problem. The problem that we have is that we don't have enough funds to market our city, and we have a great story to tell, and we need to effectively compete against other cities in the state of California. So we just ask you to support this, understanding that it's organic, it's supported by the general managers, the hotel community. It's going to generate revenues, which generates jobs, which generates tax revenues back to the transient occupancy tax here in the city. It's good for us. Help us market the city.
Thank you, and thank you for the presence of all of you here. We'll read in the record Bob Amano, Dan Shaughnessy, John Marco, Bert Seneca, and Israel Mona. With that, we will turn to council members, and Janice Hahn, our chair, is our first speaker, and then Mr.
Thank you, colleagues. And this is the second time we've heard this, and we had public comment today. And Kathy, I appreciate you and all your fellow general managers of hotels coming down here and saying you're in favor of this, because what Kathy said is really true. It really grew from the hotel owners. And the problem is we do have a great story to tell here in Los Angeles, but other cities are out telling their stories to the tune of millions of dollars that are spent specifically on marketing. You know, San Diego spends $26 million. San Francisco spends $23 million. Las Vegas spends $94 million annually just to market their city and attract visitors to come there. Currently, Los Angeles was only spending $18 million to market Los Angeles, so we were losing out to some of these other cities. The hotel owners came before our committee in Commerce, Trade, and Tourism and came up with the idea of this giant assessment district among hotels that have 50 rooms or more. That's about 157 hotels in the city. And they agreed to increase their occupancy tax by 1.5%, added on to the already 1% that they assess and generate for this marketing purpose. So this will raise about $30 million annually that will go back into marketing Los Angeles. And again, a lot of times we get criticized for trying to push something on hotels that they don't want, or push something on that we think is a great idea, but they don't consider it a great idea. This was one that they thought was a great idea. We supported it. There was a lot of back and forthing. There was a lot of opportunities to work out some differences with some of the other hotels, but we think this is a good idea. It's time to begin telling the story of Los Angeles. It's time to be putting money into marketing this great city and bringing people here. And it will create jobs in the long run. It will increase revenue, and again, it will really help not only our general fund, but it will help all the industries in Los Angeles that depend on tourism. Tourism is the number one industry in Los Angeles, and this is a way to enhance it, to increase its effectiveness, and we really want to thank the hotel general managers for participating in this, working with us to come up with a plan that we really think will be a success story in a few years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. LaBonge.
Your leadership and shepherding that through and all the things that are so important. Thank the industry. This is an investment. Some people say they don't want any taxes. Taxes are an investment if used properly to enhance the lives of a community. And this is a very special city, still glowing from the 1984 games. Much of the art development in the last 20 years has become from the games and the art festival that took place during the Olympic Games with the new museums. People want to come here from not just around the world, but from around the state. So this is very important. As a representative of Hollywood and other parts of the city as well, I join to support this strongly and will work to enhance the experience for all. But make sure that everybody who comes goes straight up Vermont Avenue and sees the greatest public building in the world, the Griffith Observatory. For if they walk in the doors, they can understand the universe. But if they walk out on the deck, they can see and appreciate the beauty of the City of the Angels. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Mr. Garcetti.
Mr. President, and thank you to our speakers, and thank you to our guests that are here. Trade, tourism, and technology, the three T's, are the cornerstones of our local economy. And even in the midst of the recession, as speakers have said, they're correct, one of the bright spots has been tourism. More people are coming here. I think it's the quality of our hosts. I think it's that we put more dollars into the area around LA Live, and so that the conventions have gone from 30th to 15th. And I also think there's an excitement about this city as well. This really will, I was looking at, I think it's the Tourism Week or something in America. I was looking at an ad, and there's a lot of places around the country that pay into the ad saying visit us, and LA wasn't one of them. And I think sometimes we are caught with a lot fewer resources than other places. We take it for granted that everybody wants to come here because of the weather, because of the sights, and many people do. But we are in a competitive world. When we look especially at the opportunities internationally, the number one source of visitors to the city who are here as tourists are from Latin America and Mexico. We have a ton of tourists that come as well from East Asia. Even with the Japanese earthquake, we still have continuing visitors. And Europe. We're very well poised for all of those. And this is going to be a real moment of growth for the city. I think it reflects our commitment. I just want to thank the industry who sat down with me very early about this idea. This is like business improvement districts. You have taken the initiative with LA Inc. to step up and actually put this together. And it says a lot, because oftentimes in the city we have a very patron-like relationship in government. Come to us, we'll tell you how to do it. We have to be in control. And this is, I think, a good example of a public-private partnership where the mechanism comes through us, but really the hard work and the money is coming from the industry and the visitors themselves, which will help multiply these dollars out. And these are good middle-class jobs. You can't offshore visitors to LA. They can choose to go someplace else, but these are jobs that once we build this up and market it, will stay here. And that's a great thing for our middle class. It's a great thing for those businesses that invest here. And I think it's a reflection of our ongoing commitment to tourism and to the hospitality industry here in Los Angeles. So I look forward to this being in place and seeing those great ads, and congratulations today.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Rosendahl.
I, too, stand up and agree, and I'm glad 66% of the hotels participated in this. We need, obviously, to bring tourism to the city, but I'd like to ask the staff to come up for one quick question on this that are in the back of the room. LA Inc. Morning. The hotels, did the Century Corridor group of hotels participate in this?
Good morning. Good morning. Mark Lieberman, President of LA Inc., Los Angeles Convention Visitors Bureau. To answer your question, yes, they did, and almost unanimously, I should say.
Excellent, because they are impacted by it, and they're very much talking to me about that conference center concept going there and bringing more business to the community here. So the majority, 66%, went in favor of it.
Almost 70%, I should
Almost
say.
70%.
Yes.
And how much more money are we talking about?
We're talking about somewhere between $10 to $12 million.
And how do you intend to spend that?
Well, we're going to spend it, the majority of the money will be spent in marketing and advertising and promotion, and adding a few other salespeople to bring larger groups and to Los Angeles.
Great, and I think it's a wonderful idea, and thank you for coming up to the table as well. And thank you, Ms. Hahn, for your leadership.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes. Mark, you can stay there. They may have some more questions for you. Okay. And Patty, she may want to join you.
Thank you, Council President. First, I'll say congratulations on this effort. Years back, we had been working on how we celebrate the diversity of the city. And there was one program we had diverse folks from different ethnicities, cultures, language, movie stars, sports figures, speaking to Los Angeles and how it's their city now. Given that this effort is now at this level of organization, how do you see the strategy or the posture in which we embrace this diversity with this new invigorated effort? And given that largest population of Koreans out of Seoul is here, Mexicans out of Mexico City is here, Salvadoreños, on, and there's all these ethnic enclaves that have a tremendous, I believe, attraction to the international world. How do we see ourselves embracing that whole dynamic?
You know, you're absolutely right. There's really so much to do, and there are so many people to attract, and you know, we're very, very fortunate here that we attract people from all over the world, and we have to make sure that all those people, whether they be from South Korea, from Mexico, or from Brazil and Argentina, we have to make sure that they understand what is going on here in Los Angeles and everything that we have to offer, because you know, it's not just what they saw yesterday, it's what they're going to see tomorrow, and it's very, very important that we as an organization and as a group inform people all the things that LA will be having to offer them.
Well, the images are beaches and Disneyland. And that's what people see. That's how media has portrayed the nature of what is attractive. But are we investing in our communities and our neighborhoods so that they could be ready to absorb or become a destination? They may not be Disneyland. They may not have a beach, but they have music, food, culture, traditions, folk.
Yeah, and yes, we even do that today. We try to promote all of the regions of Los Angeles, whether it be through our website or other publications that we put out, and we will of course take some of those monies and use some of those monies to be part of our marketing plan to provide information that tells the world about all the different neighborhoods and all the different things that one can do here in Los Angeles.
Is there any specific policy?
We're in the process of putting together our strategic plan, and right now, as we speak, to determine with our advertising agency how we're going to approach that. And we can come back to you and explain to you how that money will be spent.
Would the council officers be of service to give you some insight as to what they see happening in their neighborhoods?
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to hearing from them all.
I appreciate it. We're looking forward to that dialogue.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. LeBonge for a second time.
Thank you again, LA Inc., which has done a tremendous job over the years in putting this together. It was a track meet, Ms. Hahn, that of all the hurdles that had to come together to make it happen, because it's an investment to promote the good of the city. The good of the city, whether it's the arts, and as Mr. Reyes just spoke, there's many great neighborhoods. The city is a city of great neighborhoods. Yes, with challenges. Yes, with things that we have to be aware and correct, but there's nothing like Los Angeles and the weather and the opportunity to enjoy. So I just wanted to specifically thank LA Inc., which I didn't in the previous remarks, but I want to take this opportunity to thank you again. Thank you, Mr. Zine.
Thank you, and I just want to offer my congratulations to you both. I know how hard you both work on tourism, the faces behind the scene to get it done, so congratulations, and this is another endeavor to bring more dollars to Los Angeles. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
See no other questions, colleagues? That matter is now before us. Open the roll.
Mr. President, that item should be, the public hearing should be continued to May 25th.
Oh, we're not going to get to vote today?
No, not today.
Oh, because, well, in that case, I guess you have to come back, Mark.
Right, we'll be back. We will be excited to be back here on the 25th.
All right, so we'll continue that to the 25th.
Curiosity, why?
The final hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, May 25th, pursuant to adoption of ordinance of intention number 181611 on March 29th, 2011.
That's why, Mr. LaBonge. Okay, we all know. Thank you much. Thank you all. All right, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item number 2, special by Councilmember Zine.
Item number 2, on that particular matter, let me just read this into the record on item number 2. Just one statement. Evidence has been submitted into the record from the zoning administrator relating to the CUP conditions that have not been met. And we will present that to the clerk, so we would request the denial of that. And that's the statement. So on that matter, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
And that denial is affirmed. Next item, please.
Item number 6, call special for by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn, number 6. There you are. Okay, number 6, please. Ms. Hahn, we do have a card on number 6.
Fine.
Mr. Steve Bullock. Steve Bullock, number 6.
Good morning, council members. I'm here to speak in support of Councilwoman Hahn's motion, also on behalf of the Sorrell family. We greatly appreciate the recognition and the appreciation that Councilwoman Hahn and the City Council have shown for Joe Sorrell. He was aware of the historic Italian Hall back in 1993, before most of the general public knew of this history, and was passionate in his pursuit to make it happen. The motion asks for us to work with the El Pueblo Department and the Historic Hall Foundation to come up with adequate representation and recognition for Joe, and we hope that you will support this motion. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Rosendahl. I'm sorry. Ms. Hahn, I was distracted by the staff. Ms. Hahn, then we'll go to Mr. Rosendahl. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you.
I apologize for that.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just really wanted to thank Steve as a member of the family of the late, great Joe Sorrell for coming down here and making those comments. We lost a great American, we lost a great Italian, we lost a great friend of the common man and politicians that span the course of political history in this country when Joe Sorrell passed away last December. And I introduced a motion after that thinking that it might be fitting to name a part of the new museum at the Italian Hall at El Pueblo after Joe Sorrell. I just think no one epitomizes Italy or the Italian culture as much as Joe Sorrell. I was honored to even get to travel with him to Italy, and he is known on the streets of Italy like he's known on the streets here. He is Mr. Italy, and I thought it would be a fitting tribute to him. There's so many tributes to him, and he has such a great legacy in so many areas, but I thought this would be a fitting tribute for him. So what we're doing here today is just continuing to endorse the idea of Joe Sorrell's name being attached to the museum at the Italian Hall, and we're asking that the Historic Italian Hall Foundation, the staff from the foundation, El Pueblo, and the Sorrell family to continue to work together to find a way that this could be a reality. I think when we talk about tourism and we talk about a story to tell in this city, we know that Joe Sorrell has such a great history, and we know people would come far and wide to, in some way, be close to the man that just made so much history, Joe Sorrell. So thank you again for the family, Steve, for coming here and supporting this idea. I hope it comes to fruition, and we just, at this point, are just encouraging everybody to work together to make this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Rosendahl?
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Ms. Hahn, for your kind comments. And to Steve Bullock, hats off to you and to the family. As you well know, I met Joe in 1981, and he remained a very close friend to the very end. And the lessons we all learned from Joe were life-changing for all of us. And one of the best was be loyal. Stick to the people that are there with you, and that loyalty will take you a long way. He was always so positive in everything. He always had a joke, and every time he walked in the room, he identified a half a dozen different people and brought them into a psychic, which really brought the whole room into his space. And we couldn't bring him back, but at the funeral, I felt he was present because that was the kind of memorial that the family put together. So anything we can do to remember Joe Sorrell is remembering someone who has had a huge impact on our lives. And on a very personal level, Steve Bullock, I had the pleasure, thanks to you, to perform the wedding between you and this great lady that you married, and so I even feel closer to the family as an extended family member. But God bless you for coming here today, and God bless Joe Sorrell.
Mr. LaBonge?
So we will continue to see the El Pueblo work. Great words about Joe Sorrell. El Pueblo work with the Italian Foundation to try to find the appropriate recognition. Very deserving of a great American, a great Italian American whose dad was a fire captain in New York City. God bless Joe Sorrell.
Thank you. That's our final speaker on this matter. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Very well. Congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Next item, please.
Item number 13, called special by Councilmember Garcetti. An amending motion has been circulated.
Number 13 by Councilmember Garcetti. Number 13. Okay, let's hold that. Wait an amending motion. I understand it's circulated. Are we ready to go? Ready to go as amended. Mr. Garcetti, any comments?
Technical amendment on item 13. Thank you.
All right, so open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item, please.
Item number 18, called special for cards.
Number 18, John Walsh. Number 18, sir.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. The Obama Democratic Party has threatened to sue me unless I take down our website by May 15th. You don't believe me? Go right to our website now and see the letter from their law firm. Thank you. This has to do with crime. Crime is out of control in Hollywood. The more bars you open, Hollywood, the more crime you have. This item talks about, it's so bad, you know, usually when we have a reward, it's for someone who murdered a child or murdered a woman, or, I mean, it's some evil crime. But it's gotten so bad now that we have to have rewards for a series of burglaries. And for the people who live in the more expensive homes, I'm 100% in favor of this. And what's happening in Hollywood will happen in your neighborhood. The gangsters are taking over this city. Thank you. 1 minute.
All right, on that item, colleagues, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item, please.
Item 21, called special by Councilmember Rosendahl.
Mr. Rosendahl, we have cards on number 21, sir.
I'd also like staff to come on up on it.
All right, so while staff comes to the table, let's hear from the speakers on this matter. Richard Robinson, number 21, sir.
Mr. President, members. Richard Robinson. The government that governs best is the government that governs least.
That's a good one.
Sir, CRA monies for housing and other projects do not need the oversight of a third party. I'm going to run the risk of being ridiculed for saying that Governor Brown is correct. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds." CRA was necessary. Mr. Bradley did a magnificent job of creating the Community Redevelopment Agency. However, as time passes, you and your staff here at City Hall, additional staff, eliminating the middleman, the office space at East City Hall, wherever, can do the job that you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars for a third party to do. Thank you.
John Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, the most hated website of the White House. Find out why in there. And we're Democrats. We support Barack. Redevelopment.com. Go to redevelopment.com. Redevelopment.com. We got it before redevelopment got it. That was about 25 years ago. CRA can't redevelop anything. We're one vote short in the Assembly of taking down redevelopment. And that is from our great leader, Jerry Brown. We love Democrats. All we need is the vote of Alan Mansour, M-A-N-S-O-O-R, Alan Mansour, who's the assemblyman from Orange County. Go to our website, call him up, email him. We have hundreds, thousands of people calling him up. We get his vote, and then the CRA is history. The CRA has plundered the city for years. The CRA has to be abolished. We've been fighting it in Hollywood for many years. They built the Hollywood Highland complex for $800 million. It was subsidized. The developer sold it for $200 million. A CRA project lost $600 million. It has nothing to do with affordable housing. Our housing city housing can do that. That's federal block grants. I'm telling you, not only am I the most despised man in Washington, D.C., there's only one place I'm not despised, and that's Sacramento, HollywoodHighlands.org. If I'm lying to you, you will not see the letter from the Democratic Party, from their lawyers, attempting to muzzle my free speech. HollywoodHighlands.org.
In Van Nuys, Donna Pearman. In Van Nuys.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway, I'd like to thank John Walsh. Don't get rid of HollywoodHighlands.org. Good comments about the CRA. Matt Dowd didn't think that Miriam and I know about what we're talking about the CRA. We do. We do talk about the Pacifics. Here's the real culprit and why the city is broke. The CRA's project is not necessary. Then this time with sacrifices being asked, you choose to spend it on a museum, a large parking facility and only needed for unnecessary projects and affordable prison-like apartments. You don't ask if some of these private developers would like to have a chance to finance it. They would also need employees to do the job. The same employees that would work being paid by the city would be paid with private dollars. CRA, a private entity, shouldn't be using city money. They should look elsewhere for their funds. We can't afford $5,626,000. Prop 22 protected the CRA, but the council can vote no if they choose. People should stop the city bashing. Not all the city employees make $50,000. Ask the clerks. No way. People should look at the CRA. All the city employees, haters, you should go after the CRA. So using public money. No, they're not ever asking to CRA to sacrifice. I like to be able to, I hope that this Alan Mancier and the Assembly in Orange will be voting and we can get rid of the CRA. Just think of all the things that we could do, our city could use with that money being allotted to the CRA. CRA could be allotted to save all of Los Angeles. Let's think of that. Then nothing would be needed from the city employees other than a little bit that 4% was okay. But we need to stop the CRA, and let's start it with this project. No.
Thank you very much, Donna. With that, we will go to our council members, starting with Bill Rosendahl. Is it a chair item? Mr. Rosendahl called it special. Hold on, Mr. Rosendahl. I just want to make sure we're riding by. Which committee did this come through?
I just wanted to
Oh, it was waived. Okay. Sure. Sorry?
This is my district, Mr. President. I wanted to just set the context for the item and then...
Okay.
If you wouldn't
Mr.
mind.
Rosendahl, is that all right? Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Perry, and then Mr. Rosendahl.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Members, what we have before us today is an action that takes steps towards the implementation of the Grand Avenue project, Phase 2. It amends the Grand Avenue Development Agreement to approve a 260-unit, 20-story residential tower with ground floor commercial on Parcel M. It increases the size of the public parking garage from 280 spaces to 370 spaces, and these will be built by the Broad Collection, then subsequently purchased by the CRA using Bunker Hill funds. It authorizes the use of $5.6 million in CRA LA Bunker Hill funds to subsidize the affordable housing units in the Parcel M Tower. So this is very noteworthy because this will probably be, I think, the first time, as Mr. Rigatella can correct me if I'm wrong, that we have affordable housing units mixed in with market rate units on Bunker Hill. Is that correct? Okay. All right. So I just want to put the context here, and so you understand this is a project that we've already approved, and this is just an amendment.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, gentlemen. The total package is $52.6 million, is that right?
The package of public improvements equal approximately $52 million, yes.
Right. And what does it include in the $52 million?
It includes approximately 370 parking garage, car parking garage.
Let's stay with that for a quick second. That's $18 million, right, from the CRA?
It's $36 million is the cost of the parking
$18 million
garage.
from the CRA.
Oh, from the CRA, the total amount the CRA is contributing up front is actually $22 million.
Of the $36 million?
Of the $36 million, 22 will be paid up front. The remaining will be paid over time with Bunker Hill funds.
How much is coming from the developer of the parking?
Broad is building the parking garage on behalf of the agency, and then we're buying it back from Broad once it's completed. And then some of the funds associated with the cost of building it will be advanced to Broad. The balance will be paid over time. But the city, CRA, the city will own the parking garage. And then any parking that Broad uses in the parking garage, they will pay for. They're not getting any free parking.
Okay, but the revenue will come to the city for the use of the
Revenue will come
parking
to the
lot?
city, yes, from the parking garage.
Okay. Secondly, the $5.6 million for affordable housing with the developer in the complex there of 260 units. Was any effort made to get the developer to pay for the affordable housing component?
We discussed that with the developer. There are other sources of funds that they are seeking. It's not just the CRA money, but the agreement that was approved by the city council and the county supervisors called for the agency to contribute towards the cost of building any affordable housing in the project. That number was $100,000 per unit, which equates to $5.2 million, and then there's the ability to increase that cost using a CPI. That's how we ended up with the 5.6 approximately.
And then the $2 million and the $9 million, explain those two figures.
The $2 million is for streetscape improvements along Grand Avenue. There'll be public improvements once they're completed. They'll be city-owned. And the $9 million, I believe, is the plaza, the public plaza that will be built between the museum and the residential tower, which will bridge over GTK Way, which is the street below Grand Avenue.
Quickly, what is CRA money?
CRA money is essentially tax increment money. It's the differential between the value of all the properties within a project area at the time the plan is adopted, and any increase in those property taxes, property values over time. A portion of those, a portion of the increase in the value of those the tax increment associated with that comes to the agency that we then reinvest back into the community. So it's a differential between the property tax base at the time the project area is adopted and the growth of that property tax base over time.
Okay, so we're putting in $52 million from the CRA to complete the overall project that Mr. Broad, with his collection, will be part of the centerpiece of it.
We are paying for the public improvements associated with that project.
With that project, right.
Broad, if I may, Broad paid for the land. He paid $7.7 million for the rights to the land, which is actually being used for affordable housing. Right. He's paying 100% of all the costs associated with the design and construction of the museum, plus an endowment for the museum. He's paying for any parking. Broad is paying for any parking that they use in the CRA-owned parking garage, and he's taking the risk that he may not get reimbursed for the full cost of all the public improvements he's building on our behalf.
By that risk, does that mean that if the state government takes the CRA money away, the project will go forward and he'll pick up the tab?
The risk is associated, we believe that this is a contract, a legally binding contract that predates any action the state may take. The risk he's taking is that the tax increment may not materialize in Bunker Hill. We are now going through a period of time when properties are going through their Prop 8 reassessments, and so values are actually dropping, which means our tax increment is dropping. So there's a possibility that there may not be sufficient tax increment generated in Bunker Hill to reimburse Broad for the full cost of these public improvements.
So he's willing to take that hit if it were to go that way?
He is contractually obligated to take that risk.
Okay. Has there been any other discussions with Mr. Broad about the $52 million and his relationship to that and the overall concept and the context? The man's very wealthy, that possibly he could have paid more or done more. We could have used that money for something else. Did you have those discussions?
Yes, we had that discussion with Broad. The parking garage is not only going to serve the museum, but also serves the Grand Avenue project as a whole. So it wasn't really. It didn't seem appropriate. Pardon me?
Who owns the land under the park?
The CRA owns all the land under both the museum parcel and the parcel M, which is where Related's building a residential.
If I could ask you to...
Those properties were bought back in the 50s when Bunker Hill was an urban renewal area.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. And feel free to press your button again if you would like to speak more. Mr. LeBond is our next speaker.
Yeah, David, I like what you just said. 1950s, Norris Polson, mayor, the city council, say this is a redevelopment area. And Mr. Rosendahl was a very tough housing area, old homes. They decided this was right for Los Angeles. So now, many years, now 50 years later, this parcel is being dealt with.
Finally.
And it's amazing how the agency has worked through time to transform this area. So I wanted to rise to support this. I want to rise to support Ms. Perry. This is what you call an investment that takes place. When I made my remarks earlier about tourism, the springboard of the 1978 vote of this council, which was an 8-7 vote to bring the Olympics to Los Angeles, created a new dynamic where not only was it for athletics, but for the art community. And so many art institutions have been built, whether it's the Getty in West Los Angeles or MoCA downtown, have been built since that point. And now Mr. Broad has a concept for Grand Avenue, and I think it's real important that we go with that concept. You're two professionals. You believe this is the right thing to do, the steps that other cities do. This is why you have redevelopment. And to just exercise one point that John Farrar taught me, Bill, if David, hold up the microphone for a second. Just hold it up in the air. Right there on the floor of the table is what is the tax. So when they create the area, all that tax that sits there, that goes to the city and to the county. Now put that down right there. Any tax that is increased then goes to the redevelopment agency that gives you. It's very hard to understand, and people often criticize the redevelopment. But I will tell you, under Mr. Garcetti's leadership in Hollywood, when he spoke, and I'm giving you a little praise here, Eric, 25 different things have happened in the 8+ years that Eric has been a council member in that area as a real estate redevelopment agency for the good of the community. So this is another day that we could say, do we need partners? And do we need partners to bring a different life to Los Angeles? So I stand to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Thank you for the kind words as well. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yeah, just one other comment on this. I just want to be clear. It's $52 million, and you must put this on the record. The CRA money cannot be used for providing core services such as police, fire, libraries, and etc. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Because there's already been a scuttlebutt by somebody here saying, well, you know, the fire department's down $56 million. The money could be used for that for safety throughout the district. But the money cannot be used for general fund core services.
That's correct.
It can be used for these kinds of projects. A, affordable housing in a complex. B, parking for the area that needs to be done. A plaza that connects the various parts of the package there. So I just want to be clear, because we're broke as a city, and there's a lot of concern about monies, obviously, just to keep our core services. So this is specific money used for specific purposes, which is what the definition of this project is.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. With that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on this item and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Forthwith.
18 forthwith without objection.
It's not adopted.
And number 12, we have the we've circulated, the amending motion? Okay. Yes, on number 12?
21 forthwith.
21 forthwith as well?
Thank you.
Okay. And
12A has been circulated.
okay, let's go ahead, if there's no objection, then as amended on item 12. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that is approved. Next order of business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
All right, those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember LaBonge requests to arrive at 11 a.m. on May 11th and 13th for city business. A motion is required.
All right, that would take us down to how many on that day? How many members does that take us down to, or we don't have that information? Let's
On May 11th, that would take us to 11 members. On May 13th, that would be 10 members.
Okay, let's hold that on the desk. I'm sure we can accommodate Mr. LaBonge. Just colleagues, I know we've had some surprise moments where we've lost a member or two, but we've also lost quorum, and I want to just try to stay at least 11 members so that we can have that flexibility on days if somebody shows up sick or is caught in traffic. So we'll work to make sure that those excuses can be granted, but I just want to look at the attendance that day, so let's hold that for now. Yes, next order of business.
That clears the desk.
Okay. Announcements, Mr. Parks?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to announce that the Budget and Finance Committee will meet in this chamber at 1 p.m. We'll be discussing the final CLA report. The budget will be presented to the council on Friday, May 13th, and the first council review of the budget will be done on Wednesday, May 18th.
Mr. Reyes?
Council President, colleagues, tomorrow I'll do the formal adjournment, but I just want to announce that Joe Sanchez passed away this morning. He is one of the first modern fire commissioners of Latino background appointed by Mayor Bradley, and I'll have the more formal adjournment tomorrow with a sad heart that he passed away this morning.
Thank you. Other announcements, Mr. Labange?
Sad news, but he's in a better place. I did want to mention, too, with Mr. Reyes, Mr. Zine in Coachella Valley, we accepted a reward from behalf of the city for sustainable growth and concepts that our planning department had developed with the Southern California Association of Governments. And that was done last week. In addition to that, I do want to announce that John Marshall High School won the national title for the academic decathlon online. You'll like that, Mr. Garcetti. The online academic decathlon. They beat a school from Texas. So congratulations to the barristers of John Marshall High, a team that I would never make.
But you represent well. Thank you, Mr. Labange. If there are no other announcements, can I ask everybody to please rise for our adjourning motions? I can ask everybody in council chambers to please rise as well. Thank you, colleagues. Of two adjourning motions, the first is for Garth Peter Jensen, a friend of many of us in the room, who worked for the City of Los Angeles for almost 40 years, beginning with the Department of Water and Power, moving into tabulating, and then serving as chief of the License and Sales Tax Division, and later becoming the executive officer of the City Clerk's Office. Garth Peter Jensen was born March 29th in 1918 in Delta, Utah, and moved to Los Angeles in 1929. He graduated from Manual Arts High School in Los Angeles, where he sang with the Manual Four, a male quartet performing for school events, radio shows, and other Southern California events. He attended at the time Los Angeles Junior College, LA City College, Chapman College, UCLA, and the University of Southern California. If anybody ever touched as many institutions in the area, certainly Garth did. He married the love of his life, Mary Lillian Sheehan, on October 12, 1940, and they spent most of their married years living in Northridge. In 2000, they moved to Pleasant Grove, Utah. Mary had passed away March 24th, 2004. Garth continued on for 7 more years until he passed on April 24th, 2011. A great Angelino, somebody who did an amazing job here in the city clerk's office, and I ask that we all adjourn in his memory. Also, I ask colleagues that we adjourn in memory of Stephen Orsag, who was a mathematician and a pioneer, a great thinker and a great American, who died May 1st in New Haven at 68. His research and his work really tackled some of the most vexing and complicated problems of our time. His research had wide-ranging applications in airplane and auto design, meteorology and astrophysics, and his area was fluid dynamics, and he had taught at Yale since 1998, and before that at Princeton and Massachusetts Institution of Technology, but he was very interested in issues of turbulent flow, according to the New York Times, complications that result when a flow is especially rapid and irregular, for instance, when a brisk stream hits a bridge pillar. It is a field both fundamental to life on Earth and the rest of the universe, but devilishly complicated. He would take things like explaining the pattern of a vigorously stirred cup of coffee mathematically in great detail, and be able to develop the theories and advancements, as well as new methods for solving some of these problems, and this led to new methods of computing and new mathematical models. He was born in Manhattan in 1943, grew up in Forest Hills, Queens, to a father who was a lawyer, and his mother who was a homemaker. Precocious intellect, he entered MIT at 16, graduated at 19, went on to Cambridge, England, the university there, and earned a PhD later in astrophysics at 23 from Princeton. His son is Peter Orsag, who up till recently headed up the Office of Management and Budget for President Obama, now Vice Chair of Global Banking at Citibank. Many of us know his other son, John Orsag, as well, who lives here in Los Angeles. He lived in New Haven and Princeton. In addition to Peter and John, he also has Michael, a son who lives in London, 2 grandchildren, and his wife, the former Reba Karp, who he married in 1964. A great American, a brilliant man, and I know a father to dear Angelinos as well. May he rest in peace. Are there adjourning motions? If not, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?